Hey everyone! I've been making content for YouTube for quite a while now, and lately I feel like I'm more of a content creator than a model builder. But let's change that up a bit and build a scale model. And here it is, the Tamiya Spitfire Mk.VIII in 32 scale. Just like pretty much all Tamiya kits, this one is excellently engineered. Tamiya really gives their 32 scale kits special attention. You can easily see that from what's included in the box. The kit comes with a seriously detailed Merlin engine that's just begging for extra detailing. And in this video I'm going to show you how I tackled building this engine. I did quite a bit of research before starting because I really didn't want to mess up connecting that oil pipe to the water pump. I recorded pretty much every step, explaining things in detail, so this can be a guide for you guys. By the way, I already cut and cleaned the parts that even start gluing the main parts together. Overall, the assembly has been pretty smooth sailing. However, some areas need filler and every single part required some cleanup and leveling. I've also finished assembling the carburetor and supercharger in the meantime. These little things you are seeing are magnets that came with the kit. Somehow their coating has come off and they are covered in this metal dust. Gluing them in this state could be a problem, so I'm playing it safe with the baking soda and super glue combo. This part here is the intercooler. The reason I glue magnets on is to temporarily secure the cowling that will go on top. This way, when the model is finished, you can display it with either the engine exposed or closed up, however you like. Now it's time for the engine block and crankcase. This PE thread also came with the kit. I need to drill out the marked spots for the inner spark plug inlets. These parts I actually designed and 3D printed myself. And these are the priming pipes. Yep, I designed and 3D printed these too. This part is the pipe for the ignition cables on the top of the engine. The top part of the engine is pretty much done for now. Let's move on to building the intercooler water pump. But first, let me show you a little trick on how to bend a brass tube without kinking it. Yep, heating and cooling metal parts makes them softer and easier to bend. This part was a missing detail on the water pump. Now let's get back to the building the pump. I'm attaching the 3D printed bolts, nuts and pipe inlets and outlets to the pump. After gluing the 3D printed manufacturer's plate onto the manifold covers, I'm also attaching the nose case. The relief valves unit looked a bit too flat to my eye. So I carved out some details and added dimension with parts I designed myself. Of course, I didn't use 3D printed parts for every single detail. There is one more missing detail. the coolant pipes that connect to the header tank. And now I can bring these two parts together. The left magneto was missing some details. Here is how I added them. As you can see, I've glued many connection points for the oil pipes in their places. Now I'm attaching the pipes to these. Let's continue with the coolant system. The air filter. I didn't add too many extra detail to this part. I'm adding the details related to the lubrication and fuel systems. Alright, let's build these flexible hoses from scratch. First, I create the texture by wrapping a thinner wire around a thicker aluminum wire that I've bent into shape. Then I coat this texture with liquid putty to smooth it out. This is the boost control unit. The part that came with the kit was quite basic, so I designed a new one and had it 3D printed. The levers that connect to the boost control unit are also missing details. Let's add those. I'm adding the 3D printed spark plug details. For the braided shielding, I simply soak appropriately sized threads in acrylic paint to create the surface texture first. Later, I will paint these in the correct color and attach them in their places. Finally, I can move on to painting. First up, the primer. For a more realistic result, I paint the engine with 3 different blacks: matte black, tire black and semi-gloss black. Using these 2 metallic paints, I also paint these parts. And paint the remaining details. I applied a gloss varnish to all non-metallic parts. I'm going to apply a multi-stage weathering process. First, I'm applying a light colored wash to bring out the details in the black areas. I'm carefully cleaning off the excess wash. The left magneto has cable connections on both sides. You probably remember the thread I painted a little while ago. The felt strip details on the frames where the cowling attach are quite noticeable. Here is how I simply added that detail. By the way, I also paint the exhaust. Here are two tips that will come in handy when working with cables and wires: straightening and softening. Alright, this is the firewall. I added a few simple details, the rest is as it came with the kit. That's why I haven't shown the building stage up until now. Before the matte varnish, I add all the aluminum pipes. I will add the copper ones later. I'm applying a lacquer-based matte varnish because I will be doing a weathering process with a lot of lighter fluid. As I mentioned before, I applied a multi-stage weathering process. Applying it all at once can very likely create a uniform and unnatural looking effect. Here is a tip for adding more details to cables and pipes. These header-cooler connection pipes come with the kit and they fit perfectly into their places. After adding all these details, fitting the engine into place wasn't exactly a walk in the park. Mr. Tamiya really secured things with the screw. The engine is fixed in place quite well. Let's add the remaining details and finish the assembly. Oh, and I almost forgot. For critical gluing tasks, this is my new favorite, UV light curing liquid resin. There were two missing details on the oil tank and you can see them on it now. White glue is my go-to adhesive for scenarios like this because it can be cleaned up with water. Now it's time for the final weathering. For this I will be using extra soft pastels, Tamiya panel liners and Zippo lighter fluid. Why Zippo? Because it dries very quickly and dissolves the pigments real well. I can see the result quickly and apply the next layers. I'm applying a wash over the effect with Tamiya panel liner. This both seals the effect and adds extra depth.